Okay, these edit and delete buttons are ugly. There's no way around it. We need to do better. Let's say we had 4 more of these. It would look even uglier. In this scenario, I think I want a drop down in each of these rows. And that's what this video is. It's going to be building a drop down. You can skip it if you want, but I think there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about around drop downs, and I'll show you a component I built and we'll build some other stuff. It's a good video. Just watch it. What am I saying? All right, we're going to make this into a drop down. I already made the drop down, so let me just show you that. So it's called menu, okay? Now this is an entirely new blade component. Let's just hide this stuff for a second here. Okay, it's a new blade component in the app called menu, inside components menu, and it's got all the things kind of just like our dialog. It's got an index, it's got a button, it's got items, individual items, close, stuff like that. And let's just look at how we use it first. So you have a menu, and then you have menu button. This is the trigger to open the menu, and I have that an SVG. You haven't even seen it in the browser yet. And then we have menu items, another little subcomponent, and then individual items inside of it, where I have edit with a little pencil icon and delete with a trash can icon. And yeah, so that's the usage of the component. I'm not going to show you the source code for it yet. Let's look at it in the browser. Okay, very nice. We have our triple dot. We click on it, and we get a drop-down. Now, this seems simple enough, and you might think, drop-downs, easy enough. Alpine makes this cake. You add X data, open, false, and then some kind of button that opens it, and then a div that's your panel that has like X show open, right? That's a simple drop-down in Alpine, and that is true. And you can use this for things like navigation menus and whatever, but we're going to do a little bit better because this is an actual menu, not a popover. We're going to talk about that in a second, but let me just kind of show you in the browser all the things that this drop-down does that a simple little Alpine one wouldn't. And it is written with Alpine, but it's just more advanced. Okay, for starters, keyboard navigation. I can hit the up arrow, and I've activated the bottom one in the menu. I can use arrows to navigate in general. I can tab away, and it's not going to tab through the items. It's going to tab to the next available focusable thing on the page. If I open this menu and I want to select a specific item, I can hit like D, and it'll select the first item that has the letter D. And then if I hit E, it'll do edit. And this is all native, very native feeling menu. That's what this is. It feels like a very native Mac OS menu with all the keyboard navigation you would need. There's some other fancy stuff going on here. Like, let's say that the viewport, like if you wanted to open this one, but the viewport was too short, what would happen? Well, by default, it would just open below and be hidden and the user would be frustrated. But we added positioning, like anchoring the position of the dropdown so that it knows if it's outside the viewport and it adjusts. And it works the other way as well on the other axis, just like that. And I'll show you that. That's a fun one. I actually wrote a whole Alpine plugin to do that just for this video and published it because I think it's a good Alpine plugin. So yeah, so that's kind of the basics of the behavior of it. One other thing I want to mention in the behavior end is transitioning in, but not transitioning out. This is something, if you go in any Mac menu on your computer, you'll notice this behavior. It transitions in and doesn't out. And a lot of apps work that way. And I applied the same to the modals. They fade in so they feel good, but then you hit escape and they close right away. There are so many technical reasons why this is going to make your life way easier. Like, just beware the transition out, but also it just feels nicer from a user's perspective. So there we go. We have our drop-down menu and we can click on one of these and open a modal, but we didn't wire any of that up. So we will wire that up. But I just wanted to show you in the browser all the advantages of a more advanced drop-down. Let's actually look at the code for it as well, the HTML, and just to kind of show you all the things that it has. Aria has pop-up, expanded when it's expanded or not. The menu itself has all sorts of things on it. Orientation, labeled by, tab indexes, role menu items, all these things that you don't have to manage that we just do for you. Just take this blade component and run like the wind. All right, one more thing I wanted to mention. This is a menu. If you go into the web standards, you'll see there's a difference between dropdowns. Basically can be two different things. They can be a menu or they can be a popover. A popover is like a navigation menu or a filters menu that has forms in it. A navigation menu has links in it. This is for individual items that take an action. So if you wanted a form element here, you wouldn't put that inside of a menu. You'd put that inside of a popover. So the way that I think about it is if I want a native feeling menu, like as if it was right-clicking on a Mac app, I use a menu. If I want something else, I use a popover. We'll talk about popovers another time, but for now, I just want to give you some context that you might not even care about, but I think it's important context. Use menu for individual items. Use popovers for navigation menus and other things like that. All right, let's briefly look at the code just so you see what's going on. Menu index blade.php. Okay, this thing, the whole menu is built because of X menu. It's a component that I make available with Alpine Components, which is a paid thing, but you don't have to pay for it. You get it for free with this course. Just copy and paste all these files into your app. So index, yeah, we have X menu. We have some state to control the state of the menu. Button, fairly simple, X menu button. And the only other interesting thing I think is worth mentioning is inside items here. This is that X anchor. This is the panel basically where we control the transition. You can customize the transition however you want on here, customize the styling, but this is the plugin I added to make that anchor positioning work. It's so easy. This is a little Alpine component you can use. It actually ships with Livewire now. By the time this video's out, it'll just be available inside Livewire. If you have an Alpine component, and then let's say a button to open a menu, and then your div that is the menu, and then you do something like, again, that open is false. I'm just showing this to you quick because I'm proud of it and I built it yesterday just for this video. So this is how you might open the menu. And then the menu here has X show open, right? Well, if you want to anchor the positioning of this element to the button that opened it, it's so easy now with X anchor. And you just provide an element. You can use query selector or anything you want. We'll use refs. We'll say xref button, and now x anchor refs dot button, and now the positioning of this div is going to be anchored to this div with all of that viewport adjustment. It's all automatic, so it's pretty cool. I added it again just because I was making this video and went, no, we need proper anchor positioning, and then I came up with a plugin for it. So cool. So that's that. That's all the code for menu. I just wanted to give you a little tour of that. Let's make this actually work with our dialog. So this button opens the menu. We don't care about that. These items, this is what we care about. We want this item to open a dialog. How would you do that? How might you think to do that? Okay, well, maybe we have like, X on click here, and then like dispatch or something, like dispatch an event to like open edit modal. And you could do that and then listen for edit modal somewhere else and open that modal. That's fine. It's a fine pattern, but it doesn't connect the dots. And that's what I'm all about. It's like, when I'm looking at code, events are a double-edged sword. If you trigger them from one place, you have to go find where it's received from, and that's not always that easy. So something we can actually do, which I think is pretty cool, is let's uncomment all this out. And let's go to our first dialog, this edit dialog. Let's take this entire edit dialog and stick it as its own menu item right here. And then this menu item itself, we'll cut that out and we'll make that the dialog open. So the item is just going to call open on the dialog. How cool is this? This just feels really composable and clean. And let me just say that when we built this out, we called this .button, but as I've been building these, I've realized that's not actually the best name because it's not a button. If you look at dialog open, it's just something that listens for a click and sets open to true. If you look inside the dialog, like let's look inside this other one, you have dialog.open, and then you put a button inside. It's not an actual button, where the menu is an actual button. So that should be called menu.button. This is just open, and then close button becomes even cleaner. It's just .close. And then you can put these anywhere you want, and they'll do what you want to do, which I think is cool. All right, let's take this delete dialog, and let's put this as the second menu item here. We'll take the delete menu item, and we'll make it the thing that's going to open the dialog, just like that. Okay, clean up our spacing. And why are you watching me clean spacing? What a waste of your time. Edit this out, Caleb. Okay, we have our menu, our button, our items, and then a dialog within the items, and then the actual menu item is the thing that opens the dialog. You following that? Let's make sure it works. Click the menu, hit edit, bam. Now we got a dialog opened from our menu. Life is good. We have all our focus state stuff working. We have our drop downs working. And that's that. That's a drop down menu. I wanted to take a detour because I think drop downs are a really important part of applications. And I wanted to kind of educate you on some of the ins and outs, give you your own components so that you can use it in your own apps, and show you the difference between popovers and menus. We're going to now dig into some other stuff related to drop downs and dialogues and how styling them can get weird in the next video. I'll see you there.